Hello and welcome to the Flex podcast, where we natter and ramble away until the cows come home. So this week I sent out an email was talking about sleep and getting a bedtime, and that's the challenge that we are doing on Flex this week, is to make sure that when we think I'm going to go to bed at 10, that we're getting in bed and we're not scrolling, or 10:30, whatever it is, whatever makes you feel like you've had a full night's sleep. Because we've all done it, right? You're like, I'm going to go to bed at 10, and you do. But then you scroll for 45 minutes on your phone looking at videos of cats and goats and cows that moo at people when they walk past and stuff like that. And then you're like, how the hell have I got to a point where I'm watching these videos which are doing nothing to enrich my life? And actually, although a bit of scrolling can be relaxing, right, when you get to 45 minutes or half an hour, whatever seems like a long time to you, you're like, well, I definitely could have done something a bit better than this. And it might be that you've been saying that every night before you go to bed you want to do certain skincare that you're not doing because you're scrolling on your phone, or you're going to do an industrial clean of your teeth and actually remember to use your flosser, or you're going to read your book, or whatever it is, I'm going to do a bedtime stretch or something that you've had in your head that you're like, oh no, this is going to be my bedtime routine. But actually we get caught up on our phone. And most of us have had plenty of time during the day to fuck about with our phone, whether it's when you're on the loo, when you're like waiting, you're cooking and you're waiting for something to happen, or everyone's gone to bed and it's like 9 o'clock and you're watching TV and scrolling at the same time. We've all probably had time to have a little fiddle with our phones, catch up with gossip, whatever it is. And then when we want to get into that bedtime routine, it's probably time to be like, do you know what? I'll do 5 minutes and then that is it. Because also we want our brain to relax, and while sometimes scrolling can feel relaxing, some of it is such utter drivel that it's not actually relaxing. It's basically mind numbing rather than anything like productively relaxing. So we also need to think about like the knock-on effects of not getting enough sleep, because yeah, sure, sorry, there's builders outside if you can hear the screeching of the drill. Yes, there are things we should have maybe done that are slightly better for us before we go to bed, but also it's a knock-on effect of losing that amount of sleep. We've all stayed up, right, to watch one more episode on Netflix, just let it autoplay on, didn't realise the new episode had started until you're halfway through and then you're like, oh shit, I meant to go to bed at 10:30 and now it's midnight. It's just stuff like that to try to pull back, because that knock-on effect of not getting enough sleep, obviously we might be snoozing our alarm the next day. We said we were going to go to the gym at 6 and we didn't because we just snoozed it because we were so tired. It also affects the way that our digestive hormones are able to tell us how much food we need, and also how full we are. So how your hormones tell how much food there is in you already. So that's why if we're excessively tired, we have more of a tendency to overeat and more of a tendency to crave carbohydrate, partly because our body knows it doesn't feel energetic enough to perform the task it wants to do. So we're looking for something to give us that. And obviously carbs are a shortcut, aren't they, to feeling like a bit more energetic. So we're like, where's that sugary thing that we wanted to kind of get us through it? We're also more likely to hoof in caffeine on a day where we haven't had as much sleep. And obviously if we have a couple of coffees in the morning, that might have a much less effect. But when you hit that 3 p.m. lull and you decide to go and grab a coffee at like 3, 4, 5 before you go and do your workout, whatever, that caffeine intake at that point could still affect our sleep pattern that evening. So it might be then that we don't feel tired enough to go to bed, or when we are asleep that we don't get quite as good quality sleep as we would have if we hadn't had any caffeine later on in the day. So there's that to think about as well. I'm trying to balance that and trying to be aware of it when we're doing how our body works. And that's what this is across the board. It's being aware of how our body works. And I'm not saying never stay up late, because obviously you've got a social life and you want to go out and do stuff, but sometimes we're staying up later than we should or need to because we are doing stupid shit, like watching goat videos. I do it. We all do it. but we need to remind ourselves to like rein it back in sometimes. When we're tired, stuff that normally would take a bit of effort for us, we've perceived that effort to be much higher. Like, you know, like, oh God, I've got to go to class and I'm so tired. It feels like way more effort than it would usually. And that's something that we can manage with ensuring that we do get as much sleep as we need. And other things in our brain chemistry, like our dopamine levels, can run a little lower. So that's one of the reasons why we might not feel as motivated, because we haven't got as many kind of pumped, happy hormones going on in our heads that help us to feel and see, yes, I can do this. It isn't that much effort after all. So that's the challenge for this week, is where we can and where we have the control. So not social plans. And yet for some people at different stages of life, if you're stressed, you might wake up and have that 3 a.m. bit where, you know, you think of loads of shit and you can't go back to sleep because you're worrying about the weirdest stuff, like you're hashing a conversation that you had 4 years ago that you haven't even thought about in all that time. Stuff like that. There's sometimes things that maybe we can't do all that much to control, because sometimes it just depends on how we are in that day. But having good like bedtime routine is one of the things that we can do to help us feel a lot better in terms of getting that quality of sleep in. So let's do the challenge. Set a bedtime for this week. If for you like 10:30's reasonable, do it, and then pick something that winds you down. So even if it is scrolling, be like, I'm only going to watch 5 videos, and then I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to listen to white noise, or I'm going to listen to this song that I love, or I'm going to read my book, or whatever floats your boat. Go straight to sleep if you're one of those awesome people that can literally close their eyes and go. So we'll get that really good bedtime routine, and you're going to pick your bedtime. And then if you see yourself suddenly wafting around at midnight being like, oh yeah, one more episode, I can do one more episode, I'll just snooze my alarm again for another hour, be like, no, go to bloody bed now. Who cares about one more episode? If it's on Netflix, it's probably shit. Let's be honest. Don't get me wrong, I love Netflix, but I do watch some right old crap on there, like dating shows. No one needs to watch more than one of those in a night, and I'm saying that to myself as well, because it is very true. So yeah, let's get it in, sort that bedtime. Come over to Facebook, it's Anna Martin Fitness, and yeah, just drop me a comment in there, let me know that you're doing it, let me know that we're going to be looking after ourselves, and we're going to do our level best to get our shizzle together. Okay. Speak to you next time. This was my fastest ever podcast, I think. I think I've done really well. See you next time. Let's sleep loads and stop watching cats climb trees.